I suddenly had a wild idea that day. While making a chocolate cake, I scraped every bit of the fresh feces from the sole of my shoe into it. Then, holding the freshly baked cake, I knocked on my neighbour's door. The newly moved in neighbour was completely unsuspecting and happily accepted my kindness. He picked up the cake and sniffed it first, and noticing nothing unusual, stuffed it straight into his mouth.
Good?
You did good. Apology accepted, Nigella.
Great. The reason I did this was because I was about to be driven insane by this neighbour. Just a few days ago, a young man had moved in next door. At first, I didn't pay much attention, but when I came home from a day of work, ready to rest, shrill music came blasting from next door. They were throwing a party over there. Although I was irritated by the noise, I still put up with it. After all, it was his first day moving in, and a little celebration was understandable. I thought maybe the party would end soon. However, I underestimated the craziness of these young people, and until 4 a.m, the harsh roar hadn't shown any sign of stopping. The next morning, after not sleeping the whole night, I could only drag my exhausted body to work. On my way out, I nearly stepped in feces. That new neighbour had actually let his dog defecate on my lawn. After finally finishing an intense day at work, I washed up, ready to get some real rest, when the piercing heavy metal music blared again. Thinking of last night's painful experience, I couldn't stand it any longer and angrily rushed over to knock on my neighbour's door. However, to my surprise, this guy who looked fierce and intimidating was actually very easy to talk to, immediately telling his friends to turn the music down and promising it wouldn't happen again. I was quite satisfied with the new neighbour's attitude. After returning to bed, the music was still there, but no longer loud enough to keep me awake. I quickly drifted off to sleep, but not long after, the roaring music started again, even louder this time. My anger had reached its peak, and I stormed over to the neighbour's house, pounding on the door once more. When I threatened to call the police, the man's mood instantly turned aggressive. Seeing that talking would no longer solve it, I chose to call the police, but the station said it wasn't their jurisdiction. At that point, I was completely out of options, so I grabbed my pillow and went to sleep in my car, managing to catch an hour or so at a quiet park. When I returned home, still full of pent-up energy, I took out the loudest lawnmower I had, ready to take revenge while my neighbour slept. But after only a couple of steps, I stepped in something again. His dog had defecated on my lawn once more. This time, I decided I couldn't stand it any longer. I immediately made a chocolate cake of a similar colour, added in all the feces I had stepped on, and then, under the pretense of apologising, tricked that inconsiderate man into eating it.